Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from, oh jeepers, my hair looks a mess, Rossville, Georgia. Hope you're all having a super fantastic, sparkling start to your day. Let's see, today's 300. I have hit 300 days in a row of doing a Facebook Live every single day for 300 days. Wow. That's a milestone. So I got 66 days to go until I reach the end of my commitment of doing a Facebook Live every day for a year. What will I do on day 367? Probably a Facebook Live. But anyway, so today's a little different. Rather than giving you a mindset, business, and fun challenge, I'm giving you a whole person challenge. This morning I woke to news that one of my friends back in New Zealand that I went to high school with passed away from cancer. It was unexpected that she passed. They said that she passed very quickly, unexpectedly. So it got me thinking about what legacy are we leaving behind for those that follow us. Are we, who are we as a person? And it's all about, there's that poem out there about the dash. You got the year you were born and the year you passed away, but it's what you did with the dash in between that counts. So what are you doing to make your life count? What are you doing to leave that legacy for those that follow you? How will you be remembered? I remember one year in high school we had to sit down and write our obituary about the type of person that we were. That was an interesting exercise as a teenager, let me tell you. To think, you had to put down what age you were when you passed, and who did you leave behind, who was surviving you, and all that sort of stuff. And as a teenager, when you're not even thinking about that, we were probably about 14 or 15 at the time when we had to do this. It was sort of like, what? But yeah, it makes you think. How are you living your dash? And seeing that Samantha had passed away. It really hit me. We lost contact. We unfortunately were one of those. She was one of the very first friends I had when we moved to Whitehall when I was in. Hey, not just now. We're about to have somebody pop up next to me because I have her tennis ball. See, works every time. You're gonna have to wait. If you want to amuse a dog, do this. Anyway, back to Samantha. So she was one of the very first friends I had when we moved to Whitehall. I remember my first day in a new school wasn't something new for me, to being the new kid on the block. I'd done it many times before, but there was something different about this one. It was my first day at a school where I was going to be staying with these kids for the next 6 years. I didn't know that at the time. And up until then, I had been in different towns for, a year, 2 years, maybe 3. So this is the first time, this is my first day at a school where I was going to be staying in place for 6 years. But at that point, I didn't know it. And I sat down next to this girl, Samantha, and on the other side of me was a girl called Allison. And the two of them were, Allison and Samantha, the two of them were thick as thieves. And they quickly embraced me. And during our middle school years or intermediate, they were a good steady rock. And then Alison got sent away to a school in New Plymouth, but Samantha and I stuck together all through high school. She left the year before I did to go into nursing, and she made a phenomenal nurse. And then she was less than 2 months younger than me. Older than me. So she's less than 2 months older than me. And then the following year I left school to go and join the Air Force. So that started our path for losing. We managed to stay in contact for a little bit, but then we just completely lost contact with each other. And it wasn't till just a few years ago that we reconnected on Facebook. And by that stage, she already had 2 kids. She was married with 2 kids. So she leaves behind an amazing legacy. She was an incredible nurse, an incredible person, a very unique person, very down to earth. And she was one who she pulled no punches. If you pissed her off, she told you. It was as simple as that. And I will always remember the good times that we had together. And we had some amazing birthday celebrations together. Always remember all the birthday parties at her place for her birthday and the games they came up with. And then when it came to her birthday cake, her dad would, after she blew out the candles, her dad was responsible for cutting the cake. And he would always take the knife and he would go into the center and he would cut out this circle in the center, pull that piece out, and that was his piece. Nobody else's. He always had the center of the cake. Crazy things. But she really lived up to being a redhead at school. She was vivacious. She was pulled no punches on anything. Spoke her mind. Stuck her nose up at the rules at times. I mean, I don't know how short she got her skirt, because we had school uniform. We had uniforms we had to wear to high school, and her skirt got short. And she would come to school in a knee-length shirt, which was the skirt, which was the correct length to have it. And somewhere along the day, the skirt disappeared, and this little short mini uniform skirt appeared. She found ways to get around. We weren't allowed to wear makeup at school. She found ways around that. She actually went and got her eyelashes dyed black. So when they tried to tell her to remove her mascara, she couldn't because they were dyed. So she was good at finding loops and things. But we always had a lot of fun. So I appreciate every moment that I got to spend with her during my teenage years and stuff. And she'll always hold a special place in my heart. So today I want you to think about the legacy that you're leaving behind. Who are the friends that you have? What impact are you making on your family, on friends? What legacy are you leaving behind? What legacy are you creating now? So what you do now is important to is part of the legacy that you're going to be leaving behind. How are you going to be remembered? Are you going to be remembered with love and laughter? Are you going to be remembered as the strict school mom type person? Start thinking about things like that, because it's kind of an awakening when somebody who's less than 2 months older than you suddenly passes away, and you suddenly look and go, wow, I'm only 53 years old. Her birthday was October, mine's December, so we were the same year. We went through a lot in high school together. We were always there for each other, and what legacy are you leaving behind? So that's your challenge today, is think about the legacy that you're leaving. What lessons are you teaching your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids, if you've got great-grandkids? Or what lessons will you leave behind that will be passed down through the generations? What stories are you leaving behind? Part of your legacy is also leaving behind the memories. So have you written out your story for your family? Even if you don't publish the book or anything, start writing your story. What was it like growing up? What was it like for you going through different events in history? Sit down and write down your memories. What was it like for 9/11 for you? What was the fallout for you? What was the impact on your life from 9/11? What was the impact on COVID for you? Think about different times in history. The big crash that they had, was it 2007, 2008, when the stock market crashed? What was times like for you during those times? Leave those stories for your future generations so they can know and understand what it was like to grow up in those times, because history has a way of repeating itself. It really does. And when your future generations start going through similar times to what we're going through now, they're going to be able to look back and go, oh, remember when my great-grandmother or my great-great-great-grandmother or grandfather went through this, and this is what they wrote about the time. Let's incorporate some of the fun that they had during that time, because we're still able to do this, we're still able to do that, and let's see what's going on. And leave them stories of encouragement. What were some of the struggles that you faced growing up, or as an adult that you faced, and how did you overcome them? Leave them stories of inspiration to help them through their tough times later on. It's always cool when you can go back and read diaries or journals or stories that have been left from past generations about how they overcame certain events in their lifetime, or how they got through those events. Those are some of the most treasured stories and legacies to leave behind. So what legacy are you leaving behind for your future generations? What are you teaching your kids today that will help inspire them and help them be ready to face the world when they go out there? So that's your challenge for today. It's just, think about your legacy. What are you teaching your kids, your grandkids? What lessons can you instill in them now that they can pass on to future generations? What stories can you leave behind for them? Start doing that now. I know that there's a lot of people when they're facing things like cancer, terminal illnesses like cancer, when they get those final stages, about how parents are leaving notes or videos or recordings for their children when they reach certain milestones that they're not going to be around to see, and they get to see them on their birthday. They get to hear them or see them on their birthdays, or hear or see them on those special occasions. I've heard of young women who, when they're on their wedding day, are hearing or seeing a video from a parent who passed who can't be with them on their wedding day or their graduation day. They get those letters or those videos from their parent who is no longer with them about, what their thoughts were back then about, this particular day. And it's heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time, to think that the parents thought ahead that much. Like Brad, a few days after Darmic was born, Brad went out and bought a bottle of bourbon, I think it was, bourbon, whiskey, scotch, something like that, because, excuse me, I know you want your ball, you're going to have to wait a couple of minutes, okay? Patience. A few days after Darmic was born, he went out and bought a bottle of bourbon, scotch, whiskey, or something like that, and I remember him asking Brandon if it was a good brand, or what was a good brand, and he went and bought it. And I travel with that bottle. It's packed up in a box, all wrapped up in everything else. It's got old towels wrapped around it. It's got its own little cupboard, and Brad actually wrote a letter to go with that bottle, and in the letter he stated he didn't even know if he would be there in person to give that bottle to Darmic. But I got that letter. Thankfully he typed it. And I've got the letter, and I'm going to put it onto a card to go with the bottle, and I'm going to make it a big card with all the photographs that I have of Brad and Darmic together over the first 2.5 years of, 3 years, 2.5, 3 years, 17, 2.5 years that they had together. And just have the card full of all these pictures, do a montage of all the pictures that I've got of every photo of Brad and Darmic together, and I may even do like a flash drive or something with all the videos that I have of the two of them together. I even have videos from Brad's phone and photos from Brad's phone, and we'll give that to Darmic on his 18th birthday, I think it is. I think that's the one, 18th or 21st. I got to figure out which one he wrote on the letter, whether it was the 18th or the 21st birthday. So, I have that to give to Darmic, because him and Brad had a very special bond. So she's crying too, but she wants this. Hey, you want the ball? Oh, the ball. Hypnotize a dog with a tennis ball. How close can you get into her nose before she grabs it? So so that's your challenge today. Think about the legacy you're leaving your kids. What stories can you leave them? What lessons can you teach them that they can pass on? And if you can, hug those that you love. If you can't, call them and tell them how much they mean to you, how much they love you, because you never know when they will be gone. That's it from me for today. We will, for this morning anyway, have a super fantastic sparkling day, and we will catch you guys later this evening. He konera.